Well, I've been asked to say a few words about Eva and my relationship with her. Unfortunately, I can't do exactly that. Because to say that in a few words is quite a challenge. Eva is easily one of the most extraordinary flute makers I've ever met, as well as one of the greatest friends I've ever had. She's been a friend, a colleague, a partner. Laura and I love her like a member of our family. She is a member of our family. But most of all, she is an extraordinarily important flute maker. She has done what no other flute makers I know have done, and that is to contribute to the world's diversity of flute instruments so completely that we now have whole orchestras playing largely on Eva's instruments. She came to the Brannen Company for a visit. At some point she said to me, "I'm only a girl, but would you let me see your shop?" In my world, there's no such thing as only a girl. I was the father of 4 daughters, and girls and women were not onlys. So once we got that cleared out, and I explained to her that she was never to use that expression again, we had a great time touring the shop. She had more questions than you could imagine. She was just fascinated by everything, as she is with anything new. And that's not just about flutes, it's about mechanical things, personal things, family dynamics. She's just totally wrapped up in life. She's a wonderful person. My first reaction was, I'd have to be crazy to do it. But over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I couldn't get it out of my mind. And eventually I realized this might be the last great challenge for me as a flute maker. But once again, it was her ideas. I just managed to help her with it. And it was the beginning of one of the most pleasant collaborations and one of the most pleasant periods of my life. One that I did not expect to have, because I kind of figured that when I retired from the Brannen Company, I would be out of the flute world. Instead, I was immersed very heavily back into it with first the alto project, which took about 4 years. The ordinary covered key alto. She had warned me that sooner or later I'd have to do an open hole, and I wondered, how in heaven's name can you do an open hole alto? But typical of Eva, she had it all worked out, and we were able to rather quickly actually build an open hole alto. It was fun to make them. I hadn't realized how nice it is to have all that room to work on an instrument. And then in her own quiet way, she said, "Now the Kingma system alto." Yes, I've done it on the C flute, but it was a totally different experience. They had to be the same keys, but you can't treat it the same way on an alto. People don't realize how complicated that is, designing all of the parts that go into it. Eva continues to build the altos and basses that we had designed together, and I've seen a number of them at this point. I'm just thrilled. I mean, they just play themselves. And Laura's as much the Brannen part of the Kingma and Brannen as I am.
The more intensive working with Eva has really happened here in Southwick, when we've been working on some of her altos and bass designs. When we all sit down together, that becomes really interesting.
It's been a great collaboration. So it's been a fabulous experience.
In the end, what shines is what Eva has finished in her shop. There is a special relationship between Eva and me. My sister, not always by my side, but she's always in my heart. Eva and I started out being good friends who could see eye to eye about many things. And one day when I was having a really hard time, and I think she was having a hard time also, I said to her, well, let's just be sisters. We have 2 rose bushes planted outside that are the sister roses. And every time she comes to visit, she can see how her rose bushes are doing.
She was like a daughter to Albert Cooper, which meant a great deal to me because Albert was my partner for many, many years. She would travel to England to see him towards the end of his life, especially when he was in the nursing home. And even after he seemed to have forgotten who she was exactly, he would remember little things about her and they'd pop up in conversations. And she told them to us, told us about them, and she did so oftentimes with her voice cracking, because he meant that much to her.
I wanted to talk about why Eva's getting this award. Eva is the kind of person who draws people together. Eva has friends among flute makers all around the world. She has friends among flute players worldwide. Her business is a success, not just because she happens to make the finest of the low flutes worldwide, but because people like her as a person, as a flute maker.
What do I like about working with Eva? Everything but the distance. She has such an incredibly inquisitive and intuitive approach to things. She can find and solve more mysteries than any person I ever knew. It's just incomparable in my experience to work with someone like that. She's been an absolute dream to work with. But in her, you as the flute community have, in my opinion, the greatest resource you have ever had. And I can only say, treat her well, because there's not likely to be another one anytime soon. If I would see her change one thing, it would be that she not be so modest about her own ability. Eva is unnecessarily modest. I mean, it's a very becoming personal characteristic, but I suppose it's time she stands up and is counted without any self-hesitation. She's amazing. An amazing woman, an amazing person, an amazing flute maker.